the hour, so I'll call the meeting to order. So welcome new member, excuse me, welcome new member, Melinda Upton. Welcome. First order of business is approval of the minutes of 4/26/2023. Anybody have any edits or modifications?
Yeah,
I see
they're
no.
great.
They look great. Okay, so do I hear a motion to accept the minutes of 4/26?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
And
Yes.
Upton,
Abstain.
Gregory,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Passamato.
Abstain. Okay, first public hearing is a request for determination of applicability, 67 Deerfoot Road, map 34, lot 2, invasive removal and installation of a native garden. In accordance with Wetlands Protection Act, Mass General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Southborough Wetlands Bylaw, the Southborough Conservation Commission will conduct a public hearing on Thursday, May 11th, 2023 at 7 p.m. via virtual Zoom meeting. The commission will consider a request for determination of applicability for project located on 67 Deerfoot Road, map 34, lot 2. The applicant and owner, Jane Gates. The project description is invasive removal and installation of a native garden.
I believe Jane is here to answer any questions, but as a brief kind of background, like I said, the majority of this project is really kind of to remove some of the invasives along a shared property boundary. There's a lot of bittersweet within the trees and some other invasives that Jane is doing her best to get rid of. And then for the rest, it is kind of a slow transgression into a native plant and kind of sustainable garden that can be used kind of for the people to look and see that it's capable. You can do it, and it still looks nice. So I don't know, Jane, if you have any kind of specifics that you want to add. I think on the Dropbox, I took some pictures of the area and kind of what the general layout would look like.
Well, I think that pretty much covers it. It's going to work from an area where there is a native stream there. And the whole idea is to keep my iPad from flowing. Okay. Basically to show people they can reduce their lawns and we can have a much more eco-friendly environment, and yet you can still have your favorite hydrangeas and whatever. I'm trying to make it a chance for people to see that we can be more eco-friendly with the world without having to feel, without this pushback of, oh my gosh, I have to give up everything. And, you know, unfortunately, there are some things like these intrusive natives that are making it a little hard to do that.
Okay. Anybody have any questions for the applicant? Any comments?
I guess I would just ask, are you familiar with Dr. DeGear's list? It's our Open Space Commission's been touting that as the approved list of pollinator-friendly plants. So if not, it's a great resource to go if you're looking for.
I am learning a lot. I love it. It's great. I did this back when I lived in California. Now I'm over here. And although I was originally from New England and from Providence, and I went to RISD, took it the long way around, back again. But there are, in fact, if you come by my house, there are all these interesting looking things out the front where I've just started a ton of native, particularly the endangered species by seed, as well as dealing with, there's some pretty cool things over here. It's the really aggressively invasive plants that I don't necessarily, I mean, I don't think we're going to get rid of them. We need to control them and keep them from, for example, in this area where we've got the stream. Excuse me, sorry, we are invaded by my very formal buddy here. Sorry, I should have set this up a little more professionally. Anyway.
It's very entertaining.
Oh, good. We definitely have entertainment as well, and a little humor, and all kinds of wonderful things that I think we can do and make gardens exciting and fun. And like those, there are a lot of trees that are falling down in that area. We've already had, I had one come down in this missed my house by about 7 feet. And now I'm going to try to see if I can make them into benches. But again, recycling, and this is really important to me as both an artist and as a landscape designer. I want people, instead of feeling that they're being pushed into it, to want to do this. And if I can make it exciting, I'm making a big archway over all with woven bittersweet. Might as well use the stuff. And there you go. Don't get me going. You'll never get off of here.
All right, so this is a request for determination of applicability. I mean, we're always in favor of invasive removals. That's always a good thing. And certainly installing a native garden and any pollinators is always a good thing as well. So I'm kind of seeing this as a negative determination of applicability. Others agree, disagree?
I agree.
Okay.
Agreements.
So with that, I'm looking for a motion.
Public first, just quickly.
Was that?
You want to ask the public first, just real quick?
Oh, I thought you said, oh, I'm sorry. I see a couple. Are there any comments from the public?
You can use the raise hand feature if so. I see one. Hold on a second. Katara, you should be able to unmute.
Okay, great. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Hi, everyone. Hi, Jane. I decided to tune in just to kind of see how this process works. And we're the abutter, the primary abutter, and have absolutely no objection to this at all. I just have been in touch with Melissa, and we have a lot of invasives also. So I am just sort of watching to see how this how the permit application goes and sort of what the process is like, because we may try to do a similar thing on our property too, at least part of it. So I guess because I was on the attendance list, I just wanted to pop in and say that's why I'm here, and just that we have no objection at all. Not that it would, I don't know if it would change anything even if we did, but we're in favor of this. So thank you.
And Katara, I'd just like to say that any way that I can help out, I'd love to. Anyone around here, that's.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. That's great.
Great.
Thank you.
That's it.
Okay. So with that, do I hear a motion for a negative determination?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
All in favor by roll call vote?
Barrington,
Yes.
Upton,
Yes.
Gregory,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Passmano.
Yes.
All right, Jane, negative is good. So I will get this over to you tomorrow morning, and you are all set.
And now I go away, huh?
Well, you can hang around if you want.
Is it going to be interesting? Well,
You
if
never
I
know.
get my dog to do some tricks, I could, never mind.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. I appreciate your time. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, next up is a request for the certificate of compliance, 22 Lovers Lane, DEP number 290-1033.
I think Hamid is here. Just give him 1 second to load in. Load in, load in. Here he is. All right. So Joe did do a review of this site, and I also met with me this morning and took some more updated pictures of some of the areas that Joe had some concerns about. So Mark, I'll leave it up to you what you want to kind of hear first. Joe.
Let's hear from Joe first.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, so I was out on the site on May 2nd. And in my report, I just initially pointed out several items that I had observed, which were different than what were shown or approved on the approved plan. and had not been mentioned as differences. Some of them minor, chain link fence and a small amount of walkway in the front of the house. One of the more significant items was a deck and patio that was constructed at the back of the house that were not on the approved plan. The applicant did point out that those are located in an area that was originally approved for the house, but then that part of the house was shrunk. But it appears that even at that some of that area is larger than what was originally approved at the back of the house. There's also an area on the side of the house where they had changed the alignment of the retaining walls and added some steps that they needed to add for access to get up and down the walls, which resulted in some increased impervious area, increased disturbance within the buffer zone. So I was just pointing out some of those differences. As far as the site condition, it's the stabilization, the grass was coming in. It was still fairly thin in a number of locations. I saw the pictures from yesterday. It looks better. It looks like it's coming in pretty well. One of my biggest concern, though, I think, was probably the way the top of the retaining wall was constructed with the wooden riser and the sinkholes or sloughing of the soil that formed at the riser, where the soil had just sloughed under the riser, between the riser and the stone block retaining wall. I saw in the photos from yesterday that those have been filled in. I think I would like to hear from the applicant exactly how that was done, if the soil was just added and compacted, or if something else was installed to keep the soil from sloughing underneath the wooden riser again in the future. The other question I had was on the if there was an engineering plan for the retaining wall, seeing it's about 10.5 feet high. I know typically for a wall that height, you want to have a plan stamped by a structural engineer, and I had not seen any such detailed stamp in the plans that I had reviewed, so I just pointed that out. And the last thing was just that the COC compliance checklist had not been submitted, which the applicant stated that would be submitted, and I just haven't seen it, so I just made a note on that. That's about it.
Okay, thank you. We'll take the applicant now. Hamid, any comments?
Unmute work. Can you guys hear me?
Cannot hear you.
You cannot hear me.
Oh, barely now. Yeah,
Okay, hold on a second. Is that any better?
it is.
It is. Okay, good evening, folks. Thank you. Sorry about that. Okay, so there were 3 questions I think posed. I'll start backwards. The checklist that has been submitted to Melissa and Laura by the engineer. The second one was about the stamping of the height on the retaining wall. That was also submitted back in July, August of last year when we applied to modify the plan instead of having riprap at the top, to bring it 2 courses higher. So the entire wall structural engineer stamped plan from the civil engineer was submitted with that. I can share it on the screen, or I know Melissa has it because it was submitted along with the request for the change to be done. And then I think the first one was about the sloughing and what was done for the erosion control or the erosion that had occurred underneath the riser. So the wooden riser that's there sits and makes an intimate bond with the retaining wall that's there. So the sections that you took photos of were areas where the returns were along the side. So the back is obviously the walls there. It was where the returns came back forward towards Lover's Lane, where it stopped making an intimate connection between the concrete block and the riser is where you saw the runoff occurring. So we added some wood there to hold it in place to help stabilize it. We also added riprap as well and can put riprap in and compacted it in as well. On top of that, we put loam and seed so that would take. Much like a slope that's gonna, over time, it takes a little bit to get it to fully take and stabilize. That may take one more treatment to get it to fully stabilize, but I think the wood that's there is gonna maintain it in place so that you don't get the erosion like what you saw in those pictures. Because obviously once I saw those photos as well, I was like, yeah, this paints a very bad picture. So I think those are the three questions. Did I miss anything?
Yeah, I think that was it. And what do you think is the life expectancy on the wooden risers?
So a PT deck, for example, which is what that material is, those things last 20, 30 years. I'm thinking these are going to do the same thing, and they won't be needed over time. The ground is going to hold 20, 30 years from now. It's just right now, as it's new soil, as it's been brought in to get the yard to be level and everything else we did in regards to excavation and everything else you saw on the site plan and at the site. It was a tricky site to get it to work without impeding onto any of the wetlands and stuff. It's going to hold. And I think right now, even in the week that's gone by since you were there, the site's more stabilized and will continue to stabilize. And I think we're going to be fine. But
Is there any urgency for the COC right now?
so I'm set to close on the property by end of this month. I only wanted to get it done because while I'm the owner of the lot, I'm the builder and the owner. So while I'm the builder and the owner of the parcel, it's a lot easier for me to maintain and do anything that I need to do, as opposed to asking the homeowner to do it. That's really the only thing. It's not going to hold up my sale. I can do a holdback with them, as you folks know. That's not a problem either. It was more along the lines of, hey, within the next 3 weeks that I have before closing, I think the site's going to be where it needs to be. I mean, Melissa can chime in as well. She walked a lot and saw it and saw the difference in just a week since when Joe went on site. Up to you folks.
The reason why I ask is, right now we're in prime spring growing season. Things have greened up tremendously in the last few days. Never mind the pop of all the pollen and everything. So I'm just thinking that, waiting until our next meeting, we'll see a lot more stabilization. And I think that the board would be in a better position to, look at the stabilization, look at how far it's come, and be satisfied. That's the only reason why I ask.
That's perfectly fine.
Any other members have any questions, comments? If you don't agree with me, that's fine. I'm only one. So from my perspective, I would like to wait the 3 weeks and see that it thicken up, stabilize, and just be in a better position so that we don't find ourselves in a situation where we've got to go in and do more administrative work to get you in there to do more work, if you know what I mean.
Understood. Understood.
I'm with you.
Is that Russ?
Yes.
That is
Okay.
Russ. I'm with
No.
you.
I agree as
Cool.
well. I think it's a reasonable position to wait and see how things progress over the coming weeks, and we all hope it remains steady and that things grow in and stabilize.
It looks like it's not presenting any hardship whatsoever either. So,
Not to me, it's not. That's perfectly fine.
okay. So why don't we table this to our next meeting and revisit it?
And Hamid, that'll be June 1st. Just so
Thank you, folks.
and take a couple more pictures just to update the commission.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next up is request for certificate of compliance of 6 to 8 Turnpike Road. I understand we're waiting for some information.
Yep, unfortunately, Fussin O'Neill couldn't get it finished by today, but they will have it early next week. So this will be on our June 1st meeting as well.
Okay. Next is a request for an extension of 40 to 42 Central Street. They want a 1-year extension.
Correct. Yep. They say they only need 1 more year to finish construction. Just a reminder, at the last meeting, we did approve an administrative update. I think, Mark, you weren't at the last meeting, right?
I was not.
So they have changed a paved parking lot to a compacted gravel parking lot. So it's, over time it'll become a little bit more impervious, but it's no more than what we approved. So we did an administrative update. So their permit is expiring in either June or July. So they have put in their appropriate 30-day prior to expiration extension request.
Okay. Anybody have any comments, questions? No? Okay. So do I hear a motion to extend it for 1 year?
And that's both SMP and the order of conditions.
Oh, thank you for the clarity. I didn't see the S&P. Okay.
So moved.
You guys are on fire, both of you.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Barrington,
Yes.
Upton,
Yes.
Gregory,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Passamato.
Yes. All right. Next is possible S&P violation of 8 Leonard Street.
Yes. And Joe, if you want to hop off, you can. There's no more stuff, I think, for you. Unless the commission has any wanting questions. Okay, so at 8 Vernon Street, this comes kind of, I've been watching it for a little bit, and then had the owner on Central Street reach out because he's mostly concerned with the septic because he's right at the bottom of this hill. And so 8 Learned has purchased like a 0.14 acre section from 19 John Street. So there's a lot of streets in play here. And I uploaded some pictures to the Dropbox that shows that it used to be, a pretty decent slope that from John Street heading towards Central Street. And the homeowner at 8 Learned has now created kind of like a 2-tiered system in his backyard, assuming to kind of level out some of the area. He's put in some retaining walls. He mentioned that they were 4 to 5 feet, so I recommended they reach out to the building department because that height of a wall needs a building permit over 4 feet, but also might need some structural engineering as well. So I have kind of passed that off to the building. And then I believe that the Board of Health, the septic inspector is also taking a look just to make sure that the Central Street homeowner is not going to be impacted, by this change in grade and the water that kind of is now flowing because the site is still very loose. It appears to me that it doesn't meet the square footage within that 15% sloped area because while it looks pretty dramatic, the area itself is pretty small. It's at 0.14 acres. So I think some of it is on the existing property of 8 Learned Street, but not the extreme grading, just kind of some of the general rough out, I guess, landscaping, etc. So I don't even know if it would qualify for our 1/4 acre disturbance either. Or no, it's a 1/2 to an acre anyways. So I don't quite think it hits, definitely not a true SMP permit, but there's definitely some erosional issues, especially because of the grade change. The owner did get back to me via email pretty quickly last week when I initially sent the email. So I'm kind of waiting for their response, but I didn't know if there was anything specific that the commission wanted to see or if we wanted to take kind of any more sort of action, whether it's kind of a violation or just trying to work proactively with the homeowner to try and stabilize. They seem perfectly willing to, apply to anything if they needed to or work with us. So I'm hopeful that that will continue if that's kind of the route that we're comfortable with. And I can share the pictures if that makes it any easier.
Anybody see them or need to see them?
That'd be great. Let's flash through them.
You got it, Russ. All right. All right. So this is from the Central Street property, and this is kind of that two-tiered area. It seemed bigger than what it is on the plan, but the plan says he only owns this 0.139 acre area. But it definitely is, you know, this parcel that was cut off of John Street. I found the recent A&R for that. So kind of worried about this sloping right here and this grading and erosion. I think on Central Street, their septic is right about here, so they're kind of concerned about that. And it's just all of this used to be wooded. So a large amount of trees did come down. There's now some knotweed growing over on this area too. But as you can see, it's having some trouble. I think since these pictures, some more retaining wall types have gone in. There's kind of some knotweed over here, but you can see it's
Those trees are gonna die.
I was just gonna say that, Russ, the roots are buried, they're gonna suffocate.
and that's, I think, on the Central Street property, unfortunately. But now there's some wood chips, you know, and all this knotweed that's now popping.
Those trees that are at the top are right now at the top right middle of the screen.
These?
No, the ones that are in the
No.
banking,
Back picture,
that right there.
right there and there. Those are on the Central Street property?
I think those might be on the Learned Street side. I don't think I got clarification on whose wood pile this is. But I think my understanding is that some of it is from 8 Learned, and it's kind of sloughed down.
Yeah, I mean, those trees are gonna die,
Mhm.
and they're being contaminated by the house above it.
Melissa, what's the last name of the owner?
Hold on one second. I'm trying to think. It is. I know the first name is Wayne Lang. I'm trying to find the
Oh,
last.
okay, no, I thought of as somebody who I've had done some work on my house and who I might be hiring again to do some work on our house. I just wanted to make sure I didn't give recuse myself.
Okay, yes. I think he goes by Leon.
Okay, no, somebody else. Fantastic. Thank you.
So is that dirt banking sloughing down onto somebody else's property?
I'm still not quite sure. Let
Go
me,
back a picture or two or forward.
you want me to go back? I'm sorry, I'm like flipping.
There was a stone wall there where at one of the pictures.
Yeah, so I don't know if that was the property line previously and now it's kind of being,
Right. Encroach.
hold on one sec.
Because clearly it's not okay.
So at least this is what, you know, this is never perfectly accurate, but this is kind of where the property boundaries are. And there is kind of that weird stream thing that kind of crosses here. So nothing has, you know, made it that far, thankfully, but it's something also to consider. So all of this, you know, this is a 2021 aerial. So like this little section was cut out.
Yeah.
That's what has been cleared.
So they're trying to make their yard flat,
I think so.
and I mean, if they don't trigger stormwater because of the disturbance, the fact that the bank encroaches on the Central Street property, which is what, 20 something Central Street? I can't read the number. 26?
Mhm.
Isn't really our jurisdiction, but it's just not okay.
All right.
You know,
I can.
are the people at 26 Central Street okay with this?
They're very concerned, you know, mostly because their septic is right there. My understanding is that the family that lives there that house has been in the family for a long time. So they've kind of seen the evolution of what's happening. Water has always come off the hill, obviously, because it is a hill. But he's concerned that if it's increased water, because especially now that all the trees are gone and things aren't stable yet, any impacts to that. So I know that Dennis was looking at that in the Board of Health. I think he had pulled the plans out and he was doing that on his rounds today. So, I'm 100% willing to try and see if the homeowner will kind of work with me a little bit more on just trying to stabilize it. But again, I think like Mark said, I'm not quite confident on the ability if they would meet any of the thresholds.
Yeah, so there is that. It's great they want to work with us, but the building inspector probably needs to go out there.
Yes, so they've been made aware, especially because they're retaining walls. So I don't know if he went by today, but it's at least on his list tomorrow. If not.
Okay. And the how the way the lot lines are drawn here, the house, well, the
Driveway.
so that's 8 Leonard Street there.
Yeah.
So the area that's cleared is on the other side. It's right there.
Mhm.
That lot goes all the way over to what street's over there?
No, so it got cut. There's a little piece that got cut off.
Oh, this doesn't show that. Okay.
Yeah. I can probably bring that plan up too, but it's a 0.14 acre, it looks way bigger than it says on the A&R plan. But it says it's 139 acres of the area that's now been given to 8 Learned.
Okay.
So yes, this hasn't been updated yet because it's a pretty recent A&R.
Okay. Well, I guess where it stands now is it's worth keeping your fingers on the pulse.
Right.
But to Russ and Ben's point, they probably should ring those trees with some kind of a well,
Mm-hmm.
like I have along my driveway that you've probably seen.
I think Ben has some too. Or there at least some on Ledge Hill.
Okay. Well, thanks for the update. I guess it's worth watching. And
Yes.
all right, next up, acceptance of parcels under the Care and Control of Conservation Commission is recommended by the Select Board.
So this is in tandem with some of the parcels that we accepted at last meeting. So this has been something that myself, the assessor, and Lisa from the Select Board, have been working on to, one, identify parcels that were originally voted upon at town meeting to be under the Care and Control of Concom, but somehow got recorded just to be under the town of Southborough in the deed. So some of these are a very simple changeover. Others, maybe have been taken for various reasons, whether it was a tax taking, etc. So the ones that we accepted last meeting were primarily wet or connecting to existing open space properties. And this one, or these two, are even more so. So it is parcels off Vale Terrace and Liberty, which connect to our already existing open space parcels on that Liberty where Liberty Field is, etc. So this actually makes a kind of very nice complete trail system, because we have the small trail around the pond of Liberty that a lot of those residents use. So this will kind of make an area from Vale Terrace as well to connect the system that crosses into Liberty and also across the street to Liberty to Constitution. So these make very much sense to me. So I would recommend the commission take care and control of them. It's kind of won't change any daily activities, as does the other one. So it's just kind of adding to the list that are under our care and control. And it's better utilized as open.
Any discussion?
We need to do anything on the properties once they become under part of our care and control.
So what I usually do is I've been trying, especially now that Laura, I have a little bit more time to focus on the open space side. So I've started to kind of, we made that very complete list. Myself and the assessor had gone through a lot of old town meeting reports to, determine what was voted upon and when and what the primary purpose was supposed to be. So I have started to accumulate these parcels and starting to do a slowly but surely kind of assessment of each. So not quite a true like baseline survey like we would do for a conservation restriction, but at least kind of going out and identifying if there are any immediate hazards to abutters. And thankfully the DPW, especially in this area on Liberty, has been very helpful in trying to help us out. I know there was like a beehive's nest in Liberty. So I think it's mostly, those small things that people are utilizing the trail. Thankfully, the neighborhood seems to do a great job of obtaining those trails on Liberty. But otherwise, it's just kind of keeping an eye on it as we do our other properties. But these are just wooded, lots that we could connect at one time if we want. But ideally,
Actually, my question that we could connect is the thought that down the road that there would be a trail here, that we would need a trail to really connect to the other places you were mentioning earlier.
We definitely can. It doesn't have to be. So it's kind of up to you guys. It's we can even talk to the Trails Committee. I know I've been talking to the chair of Trails Committee recently because she didn't even know this trail system existed around Liberty. So I've been kind of tagging on her when she's not busy with her bridge project on the Burroughs Loop Trail to see if we can, do some kind of cleanup activities to help out some of the neighbors in this area. So it's definitely an option because it is nice that it connects to the field and provides a little bit more space to roam. Yeah, pull up a photo.
So what does it just require a vote?
Yes.
Okay.
And if anyone's curious, so this is Liberty Field right here. Ooh. And these are the two that we would be under our care and control. So there are some wet areas, but it kind of makes sense in its attachment to Liberty Field that we have the deed restriction on.
Why is one green and one sort of brownish?
It's different types of. One is a wooded swamp deciduous,
Wooded, okay.
and one is a wooded swamp mixed tree.
Okay.
I didn't know there was so many different options on MassGIS.
Well, look at that.
Learn something every day.
Does anybody have an objection?
Yeah.
All right, do I hear a motion to accept the parcels under the care and control of the Conservation Commission?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Barrington,
Yes.
Upton,
Yes.
Yes.
Gregory, Smith,
Yes.
Matsumoto.
Yes. Anything else, Melissa? I don't have anything else on my sheet.
I do have one more thing that came in, right, kind of before the meeting. I received a call. Some of you might remember the 6th Oregon Road where the asphalt paving,
Yeah.
live, etc. So they, and I can also share this if this makes it any easier. I've been getting complaints that they have been washing their work trucks and equipment in the parking lot. So it's a driveway area, and it's essentially slopping off into the stream there. So it's not even just kind of your normal, even just soapy water, but it's also with kind of the tar and other things that are associated with paving. So I wanted to get the commission's feel on kind of what the next steps you would like me to take, whether it's just reaching out to them, having them come to the next meeting, or if you'd like to do kind of a very hard stop, please do not power wash your construction equipment in the driveway.
What's that zoned?
Res,
I don't know. This is this isn't the TAMS one. Hold on. You guys are gonna get dizzy tonight.
Or nauseous?
I know, I'm sorry.
I mean, Russ, you're in this, sort of business, or at least you were.
yeah,
I mean, is it like okay to take your commercial business truck and wash it in your yard?
well, there's a reason why I never owned a steam cleaner at my house. Because I just didn't need the extra layer. If you're washing the truck, I got no problem with that. You wash your car at home. Steam cleaner? See ya. That's when you're getting the grime off the frame, all that bad stuff.
Right.
Because then the next thing, there's going to be a Bobcat out there and you're steam cleaning that. And that belly pan hasn't seen the light of day since it was built. The
Yeah,
stuff that's coming out of there, you don't want to talk about.
I think they also do like their dump truck and stuff like that, it sounds like.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. If you're washing the truck, so what? If you're steam cleaning it, I think you're wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I have a camper in my yard and I wash that like I wash my car, right?
Right.
But I mean, when you get into washing a paving truck that was full of tar,
Well,
trying to get that stuff off of it, it seems like your yard's not the place to do that.
I mean, again, that's why I was trying to make the distinction between washing or steam cleaning, pressure washing. This is cutting into the grime.
Yeah, it's like it's
Most of these trucks they're going for $300,000 now. You're not washing the schmegma off them. That's a polished truck. It's a different world. I don't live in it.
I guess, Melissa, what I would say is, reach out to them and get a definition of what they're doing.
Okay.
And I mean, if they're using, a little bit of Rain-X car wash and scrubbing it with a brush, that's one thing. But if they're doing what Russ is saying, that's a completely different ballgame.
And being sort of a commercial use, if this was done, under a rooftop, you'd be required to have floor drains connected to grit separation and oil gas separator. That's it's not undercover, so it's not required, but geez, the adjacency to a wetland is a little worrying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know there's also a catch basin out here on the road, so I'm also gonna check and see if possibly, the water can kind of be diverted towards there too, which I think it can, because I think there's a little lip there. And that would be, I think Board of Health deals with illicit discharges. So, I can reach out to them as well to say, hey, is this a concern? Especially given the use of it.
Yeah, and also if that catch basin has an oil gas separator that has a hood in it, for that reason, that would also set a lot of my worries at ease.
Okay. Okay. I will follow up on that. I think that's all I have, though.
Okay.
Melinda, don't get used to this.
Hey, I have a quick question. We're not going to lose Liz, are we?
No, she is just having her baby.
Yeah, but I'm very happy for her that she won the race, but my next thought was, oh God, no, we can't lose her.
Right.
She's doing both.
Crossed my mind as well.
Okay, so she's a glutton for punishment. Excellent.
Yes, she is one of those.
Excellent.
So she can be on the Conservation Commission and the Board of Health?
Yes.
Oh, great news. Great news.
Yes, I'm very thankful. I'm very glad
And a
to.
new mom? She's gonna be
Yeah.
busy.
Yeah. Almost three.
Wow.
Board of Health and Concom, so she's, yeah, a glutton for punishment. She's becoming a townie. All right, I think that's
Okay.
it.
All right, do you hear a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Your second?
Second,
All those in favor?
Barrington,
yes.
Upton,
Yes.
Gregory,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Osmato.
Yes.
All right, guys, 45 minutes.
All right.
Night.
Thank
Good night.